So you're looking to start van life and you're looking for a van and don't know what to get? Well, I'm here to help. So the first thing you need to do when you're starting van life is decide exactly what you need. And that can be really difficult when you're first starting out. There's a tendency for people to end up with bigger vans than they actually need, and it ends up being a lot more expensive and difficult to maintain. I used to really be into sailboats. I still am. I just am doing van life at the moment. But someone once told me that when you're looking for a sailboat, the best sailboat that you can get is the smallest one that suits your needs. And in general, I think that is the best advice. Get the smallest thing that you can get. Even if it's just a little bit too small for you, you can almost always make it work. And it will save you a huge amount of money. If you can fit everything you need to work and travel into like a small Ford Transit Connect or a small minivan, something like that, that's really ideal actually. I know I drive a school bus, but those smaller vehicles are fantastic. You'll get, like twice the fuel mileage that this thing gets. And so that gives you a lot more freedom and flexibility about where you can park and how far you can go. Once you've identified the kind of van that you think you might want, I think it's actually best to see if you can find a van that's already converted. So the conversions themselves can take a significant amount of time to do, and depending on how desperate you are for money and how quickly you want to or need to hit the road, it's often better just to find something that already is converted, because the price between a converted van and a non-converted van is often almost nothing. The conversion itself, unless it's really high-end and really nice, doesn't seem to add a lot of value to the vehicle. So if you do find a conversion, I would definitely try to make sure that it's a simple conversion. Don't get something that is super complicated, has lots of plumbing and tons of electrical systems, because those all can have a lot of problems. I mean, of course, if they have all that stuff and it works perfectly, then that's great. But I've definitely at the very least, check to make sure it works great. But still, simpler builds are a lot easier to maintain, and depending on the history of the vehicle, if those systems haven't been maintained, then you could be in for a world of problems, and it might actually end up being a lot more difficult to repair the problems than it would be just to start again. So once you decide what you're looking for, then it's time to start shopping around. So there's a lot of really good ways to do that. First, that reportedly gets lots of good deals is just driving around, and if you happen to see one on the side of the road, or if there happens to be one in your neighborhood with a for sale sign on it, it's worth checking out. Personally, I've never had luck with that strategy, but apparently a lot of people do, and they get really good deals. Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist are the next best places to look for vehicles. I've had a lot of really good luck finding good deals on both platforms. In my area, Craigslist does seem to be slightly better, and people tend to actually show up and are more likely to respond to you through Craigslist. A lot of times you end up having to call them or whatever, but that's just been my experience. Facebook Marketplace does have a lot of really good deals, though. Just not as many as Craigslist. So some of the things that I look for in a listing are not particularly good pictures. So you have to look at the quality of the pictures, and if the quality of the pictures isn't very good, it's actually often a good sign. It means the seller doesn't entirely know what they're doing, or they just don't care enough to take lots of good pictures. And so I found a lot of good deals that way. Look for indications that they're motivated to sell, like they just want it gone out of the driveway. Maybe their friend parked it there and it just needs to move, stuff like that. Also, if the title is misspelled or it's been put into the wrong category, like I found the school bus, I think it was in like the storage unit section of Craigslist. So just searching the entire platform instead of just the RV or vehicle section can often get you really good deals, because you just don't have a lot of competition. So when you actually go to look at the vehicle, there's some really important things to look for. First off, you should always ask how long it's been sitting there. If they tell you that the vehicle has been sitting in their yard for years, I would pass on that. Even if everything else looks okay on the vehicle, you're likely to have a lot of seals and other things just blow out on you, and it's just going to end up being a lot of maintenance. So once you get there, it's always good to inspect the vehicle, take it for a drive, make sure that everything works properly and it's not just pouring fluids all over the ground. You know, just the usual vehicle inspection kinds of stuff. And then, well, once you've done that, whether it's something you like or not, it doesn't really matter. I always walk away after viewing it the first time, and then I crunch the numbers. If there are things that need repairs or you suspect need repairs, factor that into the cost and come back later, you know, a day or two later, and make them an offer. Make sure it's an offer that you think is fair, and you can explain to them, you know, your thinking. And it's usually going to be below what they're asking. I mean, if they're asking something super low and it seems like a really good deal, you can always just go for it. But if the price they're asking is a little bit higher than it's worth to you, then it doesn't hurt to ask for something a little bit lower. So if the seller is in fact motivated and you don't have a lot of competition, then you're likely to get a really good deal. So that's the trick, is just finding a deal where the seller is motivated and you're not likely to have a lot of other people competing for that same vehicle. So that's my strategy for finding a good, inexpensive van. There is another method that works quite well, and that is to search on government auctions or commercial equipment auctions, things like that. The only real problem I have with auctions is they don't generally let you inspect the vehicles ahead of time. For that reason, unless you really know what you're doing and you have a way to transport the vehicle and you're prepared to take it into the shop basically immediately after buying it, or you're able to do your own work on the vehicle and you have a little extra in your budget to do those repairs, I would stay away from auctions personally. So it's a good option, but only for people in specific circumstances, I think. So anyways, those are my thoughts on how to find inexpensive vans for van life. Hope this helps you. Leave me a comment down below if you have any more ideas of how to find inexpensive vehicles, and I'll see you on the next video.